Today we're driving Volkswagen's all-new subcompact crossover, the Taos. We have an all-wheel drive SEL, so a top trim. It's very nicely appointed. It's very spacious inside. This slots in just under the Volkswagen Tiguan and an entry into a very competitive segment. A lot going on these days. We have this all-wheel drive 7-speed dual clutch transmission Taos to test today on some nice Michigan back roads. The all-wheel drive comes with a 7-speed DCT. The front-wheel drive, which we'll be testing in a separate video, comes with an 8-speed automatic. I think this is probably kind of the one to get. We've got a decent amount of ground clearance, a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine that makes 158 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. It's actually derived from the 1.4 and the Jetta, just bored out a little bit to make a little bit more power. We have a really spacious and sizable interior in this Volkswagen Taos. It is, for a subcompact crossover, it is massive in here. Really nice roof height, gorgeous panoramic sunroof, tons of rear legroom. I feel like I'm in a much larger SUV. I think this feels great. There's a lot of adjustability in the driving position, telescoping steering wheel. I can get a nice high driving height if I want to. We've got a fully digital gauge cluster in this SEL. Lots of buttons and knobs. Pretty good ergonomics for Volkswagen these days. I'm glad they've stuck with these physical controls instead of the capacitive touch buttons like we had earlier this month in the VW ID4. We have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You can set it up as wireless, which is great. Pretty simple and relatively easy to use infotainment system. We've got heated and cooled seats, a heated steering wheel, pretty much everything you could want in terms of luxury, features, safety tech in this Volkswagen Taos. A little bit of storage space here in a center console, a couple of cup holders. You have 2 USB-C ports down there along with a wireless charging. You've got your electronic parking brake, your drive mode selector. You've got a bunch of different drive modes, eco, normal, sport, custom, and then off-road driving modes. So you've got a driving mode for snow, street, off-road, and off-road custom. Looking in the back seats, I'm really impressed with what Volkswagen is doing with their interior packaging these days. This kind of reminds me a little bit of what Honda used to do, where they'd have a pretty small vehicle with a relatively small footprint, and on the inside, it almost felt bigger than it did on the outside. A pretty impressive trick. Tons of leg room. I can almost completely extend my legs at my driving position at 5'10". A lot of headroom, a very open, airy cabin. We have a really nice seating position with armrests about the same height. Another USB-C port down here. Manual tailgate. I'm so used to auto tailgates. I do like a nice light manual tailgate. Easy to operate. Compact spare tire. Look at this loading height. Super low, even though this is all-wheel drive, and just a ton of room in the back here. Amazing amount of space. It's a pretty attractive looking SUV. Nice lines, nice design language, in keeping with a lot of what Volkswagen has been doing lately. Mounted nice and low, 1.5 turbo. All right, this is just a first impressions drive, first time behind the wheel of this new Taos. Let's take it for a drive and see how it does on the road. Yes, I know. Engine is running. All right. Pretty traditional looking reverse camera. Not the best quality, not the best resolution, but gets the job done. This 1.5 turbo is a little bit peaky. Doesn't have a lot of torque in the low revs. You really got to rev it out to get some power out of it, but for the most part, I think it's ample power for this class and size of vehicle. We have a strut front suspension and a multi-link rear suspension in this all-wheel drive Volkswagen Taos. definitely helps with handling, rotation around corners, and its general fun to drive nature. Ride quality is excellent. Love the visibility in this. You can even put it into sport mode. We don't have paddle shifters behind the wheel, but we do have a manual gear selection option. I would like a little bit more torque low down from this 1.5 turbo. It feels a little asthmatic, but once you get it revved up, there's plenty of power here. Let's do a braking test and a 0 to 60 just for fun here. Let's see what happens. Really nice brakes. A little sluggish off the line. There's a slight delay between shifts, but gets up to speed pretty well. Very curious to compare this to the 8-speed auto and the front-wheel drive Taos. There's definitely a good amount of delay off the line when you're accelerating. But we're hustling a Volkswagen Taos around back roads. Most people aren't going to be doing that. This is going to be their daily driver, their commuter. And I think for that purpose, it drives pretty well. It has a really nice suite of safety systems. We've got travel assist, which is Volkswagen's lane keep assist system. Very impressed with the ride quality. Pretty good NVH isolation in the cabin. We're on a pretty bumpy road right now, and this Taos is not really being affected in any way. It feels pretty solid. So, first impressions on the Volkswagen Taos. How can we sum things up? Very nice offering from Volkswagen. They've done a really good job with this car. It's simple, it's easy to use, great ergonomics. I think it delivers really well in class with interior space and practicality. The interior volume is really impressive for the footprint of this car. The powertrain is nice, the suspension is great. Love the multi-link rear suspension. I think that makes for a much more dynamic and enjoyable car to drive, especially if you appreciate a nice handling package. Ride quality is excellent. Handling feels great for something like this. It's even a little bit fun to drive. I would like a little bit more responsiveness from the 7-speed dual clutch, but as it sits, I think for the type of buyer, this is really well tuned. It's not rough, it's not harsh, it's smoothed. They've kind of smoothed out a lot of the edges in this dual clutch transmission. It would be nice to have better response off the line. There's a good 1 second delay or so between when you put your foot down to when the vehicle responds. But this could also be a pre-production car, and they may improve that with time too. This feels lightweight, nimble, a little bit chuckable almost. If you're going to get a crossover, get one that's a little bit smaller, a little bit more fun to drive. I think practically something like this would have just as much use as anything that's slightly larger. It's going to get better fuel economy. This Taos has just about all the features you could want out of a vehicle in this price range. Heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, a decent stereo. Actually, speaking of which, maybe we should test that out here soon. All right, while we're just cruising here, let's go in and do a sound system test. See what music sounds like in the new Volkswagen Taos. This is the premium Beats audio system. this. Haven't messed around with the sound levels or anything, but on first impressions, this seems like a pretty decent audio system. We're not going to do that while driving. For a vehicle in the low 30s, this is a decent audio system. Definitely not class leading or anywhere near as nice as the Bose and the CX-30, for example, but this is a lot more spacious and practical of a vehicle than the Mazda CX-30. All right, hopefully that gives you guys an idea of the Beats premium audio. Got a couple corners left on our twisty back road here. Fun little crossover to hustle around. It feels agile, nimble, lightweight. 7-speed auto is doing a nice job responding to inputs. The stability control isn't too invasive. Helps you a little bit get rotated around the corners. Alright guys, there's the new Volkswagen Taos. Just a quick drive. Some first impressions on what this is like from behind the wheel. Pretty compelling, nice package. I think if you're a new car buyer or just in the market for something a little bit more affordable and smaller and lightweight, this offers a really good amount of usable space and practicality, but also being well priced and just slotted under that Volkswagen Tiguan in terms of size and features and everything else. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Stay tuned, we'll also be posting a video on the front-wheel drive Volkswagen Taos, comparing that with the torsion beam rear end and 8-speed automatic, comparing that to this all-wheel drive. Definitely looks and feels much bigger than it is. Okay guys, thanks for watching. As always, we'll be posting some more videos on the Winding Road Magazine YouTube channel. And I believe Charlie from Daily Motor will also be doing some videos. So head on over if you want to see some more content on the Volkswagen Taos. See you guys later. Drive safe out there.